Did you know that good cybersecurity is not about guesswork? Did you know there are thousands of people hours that have been poured into what does good cybersecurity hygiene look like? How do we build a mature cybersecurity program? Well, hey friends, my name is Wes Spencer from CyberFOX, and we're going to talk about cybersecurity frameworks, and we're specifically going to talk in this short video about how they apply to privileged access management, like CyberFOX. So you might be wondering, well, why CyberFOX? Why do I need this? And why does it fit into a stack? And how do I know that it's important for me to implement this? Well, good cybersecurity hygiene dictates it. In fact, the CIS controls themselves talk specifically about privileged access management. So we're going to cover that. But first of all, what is the CIS controls? It's developed by a nonprofit called the Center for Internet Security. And they've been built around 18 core controls. There are 3 implementation groups of these controls. Think about it this way: basic, intermediate, and advanced. And inside of those 18 controls, wouldn't you know it, Control 5, one of the early controls, deals specifically with account management. It's one of the most important things that organizations can do to secure their company, to secure their data and their assets. Did you know that Verizon, in their perennial study on the data breach incident response report, shows that 86% of attacks involve credential misuse? In other words, bad guys are going after your credentials. They're going after your accounts. And if we're not doing a good job securing those and building around mature security around that, we're going to have a world of trouble. That's why privileged access management and CyberFOX in particular are so important. So in this video, we're going to dive into Control 5. We're going to look at all 6 elements of Control 5 and see how they're important for your organization. And you'll also see how a tool like CyberFOX is critical to helping you accomplish these requirements when it comes to CIS Control 5. Are you ready? The very first one right here is establish and maintain an inventory of accounts. It's this idea of if we don't know the accounts that are in our organization, we're never going to be able to secure them. Now you might think, oh, well, I already have that. I can just go look in Active Directory. Well, it's far more complex than that. Did you know even in Active Directory, an organization may be spinning up accounts and turning off accounts through regular onboarding and offboarding of users? Sometimes you might have multiple accounts per user because certain privileges might require them. But think about not just what exists in Active Directory with all the sprawl that has and the constant change that can be. Think about line of business applications. Think about data in the cloud. There are many places where account management really needs to be thought through holistically. Also, local accounts. Unfortunately, we're still in an age where local administrator accounts are still being used quite often. So one of the very first things that you have to do when you're trying to put your hands around account management in this CIS Control 5 is you have to do an inventory. You have to establish the inventory, and then you see the second part, maintain that inventory. They're both critical components when it comes to cybersecurity. So with that being said, as you start going through this, you're going to realize very quickly, I can't build an inventory, let alone manage it by hand. I can't just monthly go through that and just look by hand. It's going to take too long. You're going to need a tool. Wouldn't you know it, CyberFOX is a very effective tool for this. Once you deploy CyberFOX to all of your endpoints, we're going to tell you all of the accounts that are there, and you can get a good visibility and good input into all of the controls that exist. It's a powerful way to begin the inventory. You're still going to want to think about other systems, maybe like Linux systems or firewalls. You're going to want to think about cloud assets, but overall, using a tool like CyberFOX will really help you go down the very first subcomponent, which is establishing and maintaining an inventory of all of your accounts. The second component is this: use unique passwords. We should have individual passwords given for every single account that we have. Account reuse and password reuse is very, very dangerous. Here's why. Imagine that you use the password Happy Cats everywhere you log in. You use it for a sports website, and you also use it for your banking website. You also use it for your company VPN to log into. Well, unfortunately, your sports website has very low security, and a bad guy broke it. A bad guy hacked in, and they stole all the passwords. Now they know that your password to that sports website is Happy Cats. Well, they have no idea if you're using Happy Cats for other websites, but they can sure try it. And that password reuse of using the same password in multiple places can be very damaging. A vast majority of attacks have occurred because of password reuse. So we have to eliminate that. That's partially tools helping us and partially good knowledge and training to our users. The reason we need tools to help us with this is because the human brain is only hardwired to remember probably only a few different passwords. You're just not going to, across the hundreds of platforms you might have to log into, remember unique passwords for all of them. It's way too much difficulty. Enter password managers. Wouldn't you know it, we have one of the best password managers in the industry. It's called Password Boss. We'd love for you to take a look at that. It's very cost effective, it's very easy to use, and it works across all systems. It gives you powerful flexibility for corporate password management, letting you accomplish this second requirement of Control 5 of using unique passwords. The next one is this: disabling dormant accounts. Unfortunately, over time, passwords and user accounts stay, and we don't usually have a good process for getting rid of them. Maybe you spin one up for a temporary employee. Maybe you have a second account that's spun up for somebody to be able to access something for a short period of time for their work. But then we've forgotten to disable those accounts. Over time, those dormant accounts that are alive, that are active, but no one's actually using them, can become a real thorn in our side because they're giving us a foothold for a bad guy to leverage to attack us. And so one of the most important things you can do is have a system that can help you identify dormant accounts. And that's what good privileged access management will do. It will help you understand, do I have accounts that exist here that no one is using? It could even go so far as to be advanced enough to say, after a certain amount of time of dormancy, we're going to disable those accounts. So I encourage you to think about that and make sure you choose a tool that will help you go through that journey of disabling dormant accounts. The next one that's important to talk about is restricting administrative privileges to dedicated administrator accounts. Now that's a mouthful, isn't it? Here's what they're basically saying here is we want to make sure those that have the access and need for administrative level ability on a computer are dedicated to its own account. We should not have one account that I use for everything that includes administrative controls. We should have one regular account that just lets me do the routine day-to-day things that doesn't require administrative privilege. And then I should have a second account that lets me do things with administrative ability. Now, in the old days, this was very, very, very difficult to do because you'd have to go through and say, who are all my users who have need for administrative levels on a system? And then you have to teach them and educate them that you have two accounts. You got to juggle between them. Oh my goodness, it's such a challenge. It's so much a challenge that many organizations don't do this very well at all. They just use one account that has, it literally gives them access to local administrator privilege wherever they log in. That is super dangerous. Not only is it dangerous, you've made the job of a bad guy easy. Once they get access to that account that you use every single day, now they have keys to the entire kingdom. The idea is this: imagine that you go and you, instead of trying to rob an apartment building with 100 different apartments in it, why don't I just go after the person who has all the keys? You know, like the groundskeeper. Go after them, grab all their keys, and I'm into everything. That's the idea. So we want every lock and key to be separate. Now, here's where CyberFOX gets really helpful. One of the things that we do is we go way above and beyond this capability, and what we do is we revoke local administrator and administrative privileges as a whole everywhere. It is gone. Now, you might think, well, if you do that, then how do I operate? Because I'm going to need admin privileges. Yes, you will. What we do is we have policy that grants just-in-time administrative ability to a user when they need it and then revokes as soon as they're done. It's a powerful way to get your life done. Let's say you have a user that requires administrative privileges to run AutoCAD. I'm just going to pick on them because they're very notorious for this. Now, unfortunately, without a tool like CyberFOX, you're just going to have to give them administrative capabilities, and they're going to get really angry when they have to have two accounts. They have to log out just to log into their CAD program with administrative privileges, only have to log out again to do basic work. They're just not going to do that. So what CyberFOX does is it comes in and says, oh, this is a legitimate user, and this is a legitimate need, and this application is legitimate. We're going to grant them administrative privileges because we have policy that allows it. And then as soon as they're done using AutoCAD, we're going to rip those privileges away from that user. It's a really powerful way to restrict administrative ability. Take a look at what we're doing in CyberFOX. I promise you, you're going to love to see how it helps deeply solve for the CIS Control 5 that we're talking about here in a cost-effective way. The next one is this: establishing and maintaining an inventory of service accounts. Now, this one's a little bit more advanced. And we already heard me say at the very beginning, we're already supposed to have an inventory of all accounts. Yes. But we should also know and have an inventory of service accounts. Service accounts are dedicated accounts that might, for example, run on a web server, just as an example. And they have usually very deep controls, and if a bad guy gets access to one of those service accounts, really bad things can happen. So you want to make sure you have a full inventory of those. And a good privileged access management system, guess what? It's going to do that. It's going to let you very quickly see service accounts, keep access to them, and even notify you if there are changes to those accounts. The very last one is this: centralizing account management. Basically taking everything that we've done and we're centralizing it together. We have one place to look at all of this, one place that we get alerts from, one place that we can make controls and changes from. Instead of having, oh, I've got some stuff in Microsoft Azure, I've got some stuff on a local computer, I've got some stuff in Windows, environments over here, I've got some stuff on Linux firewalls over there. The idea is let's bring all of this into one house. The privilege, the access is managed. You see where the word comes from? We're literally managing all of this in a centralized location. And this is what CyberFOX does really well. We give you the capability of bringing all of this into one house so it can be completely, thoroughly, and centrally managed. We'd love for you to take a look at what we're doing at CyberFOX. You can check us out at cyberfox.com. We'd love to give you a demo and show you what we're all about and how we're helping organizations just like yours accomplish CIS Control 5. Thanks.